Hey guys, so we are back once again. This is Kavita, and we got George Payamps with us today, your real estate experts, and we are going to be talking about how a person can become a realtor, a licensed realtor in the state of New York. Now, every state guidelines are different, but we're going to focus on New York State as that's where George and I primarily work. This is our bread and butter as well as our home.
livelihood. Yep.
So I know when I became a realtor, the requirements were much different back then as they are now, and it has changed recently. So for anyone that's looking to real estate as a side career or as a full-time career, what's the number one thing you need to do? Well, you need to go to a real estate school and take a course. They actually just upped the course recently to 77 hours that is required for you to complete. At the end of the course, you're going to have an exam that you have to pass, plus a state exam that you have to pass. Now, George, about your experience, how was the overall feel of when you went for your state exam? And did you pass it in your first go?
So luckily I passed it on my first go. It was all multiple choice. And so there was no written answers. Thank God for that. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but
well, in my case, I failed many times. I'm so embarrassed to even tell people this, but I did fail, guys. Believe it or not, I failed close to 11 times before I actually passed. Yeah, not proud of that moment, but hey, what are you gonna do?
You're a top agent now. Look at that though.
I hope so.
Wow.
But however, I will say this, yes, just like every other profession where you hold a license, we are required to do continuing education every 2 years. Every 2 years. I mean, I just did mine last year. So this year I'm good. Next year in May, I got to renew my license. And before I can do that, I got to do X amount of hours of continuing education. So
do you think that, because I remember the courses I took, it was 75 hours when I did it too, like a little over 2 years ago, about 2 years ago now. And now they raised it to 77. I think only the paperwork part I still used because we have to, but a lot of the other stuff, I think you learn it on the job mostly because I do not remember half of that course.
There's two different opinions on that, right? Yes, I agree with you. Majority of the things that we learn during the course itself or when we're in process of taking the course, we're not actually utilizing it on a day-to-day basis, technically speaking, but we should be aware about it.
Yeah.
We should know those things. There are laws, guidelines of how business should be conducted and handled. Okay. And I feel that's why, we see a lot of these lawsuits that are coming up because they're just not being, the idea of a certain way of conducting business that is on paper is just not being followed from a legal standpoint. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to talk about more or less on the job. This is one of those careers where 90% of it you're going to learn on the job through experience, through hands-on experience, whether it's going to be in front of a client or working through a transaction or just talking to people
through trial and error. A lot of it, like even now I'm still learning. And I think continuous education isn't simply just like going to the every 2 years or 1 year classes. It's every single day, whether that be watching videos, whether it be read, like you always tell me read through the paperwork, understand the paperwork. I would recommend that as well. I always try to, at least when I have a new listing or something, go back and review it again because I always want to freshen up when when you have appointments, stuff like that. But a lot of it, like you said, it's on the job. It's when you're talking to people, because a lot of what we're doing also, it's cold calling and prospecting. And they don't really teach you prospecting in the course per se. And that's a major part of the business. And you have to, scripts are great. I remember you told me the story. You used to write it down, handwritten it multiple times to learn it.
I still do. I mean, I don't do it where it's a day-to-day thing anymore. But yeah, there are days where I'm just like going into a funk and I just need to kind of get myself back into that mindset, that mode of, hey, I got to make those phone calls. I got to get in front of people, make those appointments. Otherwise, I'm not going to make any money, right?
Yeah.
Go back to the basic. Read my scripts, sell scripts, right? Which is how do you open up a conversation with someone that you've never met with before, right? Because they randomly clicked on your website. What do you say to them? How do you approach them? And I know it's so fearful because that was my biggest fear. Like I used to hate calling people. I used to hate it because I'm like, no, just get me in front of them. I'll be their best friend. Get me in front of them, right? However, you do have to call people and you do have to have have a conversation with them. And considering the fact that we live in New York, out of 10 phone calls, 9 of them are going to hang up on you or did
Yeah.
you pick up your phone.
Yeah, you got to be able to handle rejection. That's a major part that like I learned through it, and I get so fearful. Even now, I still have it. Like I'm like, oh, I know he's gonna curse me out. And even calling this morning because we do it every like Monday to Friday, oh man, I get hung up and cursed out at least once or twice a day. It's part of the learning curve. What do you think is something else that's like a major something that like a major learning curve for new agents when they just get into it?
So I think one of the biggest notion is, and this is a big misconception that people have, that just because you get your real estate license and you're going to put on your Facebook status, oh, I'm licensed, right? Or Instagram or Twitter, whatever floats your boat. That doesn't necessarily mean all of your friends and family are going to be utilizing your services.
No, let me do the opposite.
You need to provide service to people. Understand something. Being a realtor, and this is my opinion, I strongly believe as a realtor, I'm not just a good-looking, beautiful door opener for you. I'm not. My job is technically, when I work with my clients, is help them understand the value of the investment that they're about to make in the long term, right? Number one. And two, help them make a logical decision that's going to impact them emotionally and financially and mentally.
Nope.
I just got to put the logic in there and take all the emotions out.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of brand new agents. And I think Rummy and we did a video a while back and we talked about the shifting of the market. And one of the things I said to him was back then that, dude, I cannot wait for this market to start turning because we're going to see realtors who became licensed realtors within the last 2 years because everybody was buying.
It was booming.
It was booming. We're going to see them get out, and rightfully so. Trust me, I know there are a lot of realtors who are getting out right now.
The numbers are crazy, like 20%, like of realtors already starting to leave.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, you can't come into this business with the notion or with the idea, oh, just because I've become licensed, I'm going to make $1 million sale right away because all my friends and family are going to buy through me and I'm going to make a $20,000, $30,000 paycheck on the spot, right? No, it doesn't work that way. Let's talk about New York. How long, and I think we've done videos about this, the average time frame it takes for once you go into contract, how long it takes for you to close on it, right? That on its own is like sometimes a 60-day process.
Yep.
So,
and let's not talk about co-ops or stuff like that.
Let's not go there. But that's a whole different video. Okay, that's a whole different video and a topic. But going back to realtors, yes, the education part of it, I think it's not just a one-time thing, it's a day-to-day thing, right? Yes. We are required a certain amount of hours that we have to take, which I think is great because it helps us refresh our memory. And things are changing, laws change, guidelines change. I mean, for example, within the last, I think 5 or 6 years, now we are required to do sexual harassment courses. Yeah. Who would have thought, right? But we're required to do it, at least for our company that we work with, right? That we're associated with, we're required. And then another thing that has become absolutely mandatory is the whole section about rentals, right? Or renters, discrimination, going a little bit more in depth with those things. And so, yes, a good percentage of your education of becoming a realtor is going to be in the beginning by the book, the course that you're taking, and then you do the continuing part of it every 2 years. But I would say 90% of it is going to happen on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. And you have to prepare yourself mentally for it, acknowledge it, and embrace it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, guys, I hope this was helpful to anyone that's looking to get into real estate, whether for fun or as a career or as a second career. If you want to know more details, hit us up. You guys can always follow us on our YouTube channel, Instagram. I don't even know what else do we have. What else do we have?
YouTube, Instagram,
Facebook.
I'm pretty sure on Apple Podcasts too, but whatever. Everything we're on. Just search and find us there.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you next time. Bye.
See you guys next time.